Hi, did you have fun last time when I asked you to do the cycle of life exercise? So what you should have got was an audit of where you are currently in all 8 situations in your life. Today what I'm going to show you is how to use that same exercise and use it as a method for setting goals. Now, the first thing I'm going to do before I show you that is teach you the difference between a dream, a goal, and an action. Do you remember in step 1 a few weeks ago, I spoke to you about your vision, that big, juicy, wonderful, wild, maybe improbable picture of your life. And we spoke about be, do, and have. So who would I be? If I was being confident, what might I do? And if I was doing that, what would I then have as a result? So that big, juicy picture, maybe you've made a collage, hopefully, or maybe you put some pictures up on Pinterest, that would be your dream. Those are wonderful things that are just almost a little bit pie in the sky, things that you'd really love for your life. Now, a goal is where you take one or two or several of those wild, improbable ideas and give them timelines, deadlines, specificity, lovely word, and you make them much more concrete and you start working actively towards them. An action is something that is repeatable. So it is what you would do regularly, day in, day out, on your way to the goal. So do you remember in step 2 when I spoke about goals, we spoke about it being like a GPS. So you were saying, take me to Durban. So now you would plug in an address in Durban, perhaps, and say the Oyster Box Hotel. Maybe you're going there for lunch. Now the actions that would get you to the Oyster Box would be driving kilometer after kilometer after kilometer, eating fuel for yourself, filling your car up with petrol, checking in your rearview mirror, a bunch of things that happen to get you to mini goals that would eventually get you to the Oyster Box in Durban. So often what we do is we'll say, let's talk about exercise, because we know that we're all meant to be a little bit healthier and energized and look after our bodies, this third dimensional vehicle that we have. So people say, here's my goal. I'm going to go to gym, or I am going to gym 3 times a week. And you're probably going, yeah, that's my goal. That's not a goal, it's an action, because you have to do it repeatedly. So on a Monday morning, when you're feeling a little bit, oh, I wish it was still the weekend, I've got to drag my butt to work, I don't really feel like going to the gym, it might be quite easy to negotiate not getting your butt out of bed and going to gym. However, if you had a goal, perhaps your goal was, I'm running a 10-kilometer race, or I'm climbing Kilimanjaro, or you're reducing your body fat for a health purpose, or you're trying to bring your blood sugar down. If you know what the end result is, going to gym becomes a means to an end to get you to where you really want to go. So let's pick up from that exercise that you did a couple of weeks ago called the cycle of life. Now what you would have landed up with if you'd done it would be something looking a little bit like this, probably a little bit imbalanced, a little bit higgledy-piggledy, and if you can see on the side where I'm tapping now, you will have kind of identified different percentages in your areas like relationship, fun, health and fitness, your career, all of those. And you probably would have decided that it was a little bit imbalanced or a little bit out of kilter, or some people often use swear words when they look at this exercise for the first time. So you would have had like a current audit of your life and where you're at. Now, in order to set goals, not actions, remember, and not that pie in the sky vision or dream for your life, I want you to have a look at the side where I'm tapping now. Can you see that I have drawn a dotted line that is a puffed out version of the current interpretation? So what I mean by that is I've taken one area of life, for example, finances. And let's say the first time round I did the exercise, I decided that my finances currently were on 50%. So the first thing you need to do is choose a time frame. Do you remember in the first part of this video, I said that goals need a deadline, and most of us know that. So you can't just say, oh, I want to improve my money. Well, you have to have a deadline. So we're sitting now currently in the beginning of March 2013. Maybe your deadline would be the end of the year, is a fairly obvious and common one. You might choose your birthday if it's a few months down the line, and I would suggest something that is a little further away than 3 months so that you've got some time to actually reach the goal. It could be the 1st of September is a lovely one for the Southern Hemisphere because it's Spring Day. It could be your anniversary or anything else that is compelling for you. It could be, if you're thinking about business goals, it could be the end of the next financial year. Perhaps that's the end of February 2014. Once you've set your time frame, then you decide, in these areas, how much would I like to shift this aspect of my life. And you draw a new dotted line. Then you've got like a visual interpretation of where you want to go. Now, those dotted lines are where you need to go and focus your attention for your goals. Right. Please pay real careful attention to what I'm going to share with you now. When you have a goal, I want you to imagine that every single word that you have put into that goal statement is worth $1 million. So if you want and need that word in, fantastic, spend that money. However, don't go around with lots of superfluous words that don't need to be there, because ideally you need to be able to remember your goal. It needs to be top of mind. You are going to be repeating it, so it needs to be impactful, short, and punchy. Okay, so when you're wording a goal, ideally you start with the word I. Be completely selfish, unless you are working with your family or your team at the company. So I. Then it needs to be stated in the present tense. By that I mean, if we go back to this picture, you need to come and stand on this dotted line. So you need to imagine it's your deadline, the 1st of September, for example, and go, right, if in the area of fun, I've decided that my new goal is going to be a 70%. What does 70% mean to me? Well, I want to have more fun. Well, yes, so do I, but that's not a goal. It's an intention statement. So maybe you say, I am, or I have, or I'm ecstatic, or I'm loving the amount of fun. But you go and stand, metaphorically, on the line of 70% on the 1st of September and go, what do I have now? What am I doing? What have I achieved if I look back at the last few months? So perhaps for fun, if I think about something that I love, it's salsa dancing. So I could say, I am ecstatic to have learnt 4 new salsa dances. So what that would mean is I would need to perhaps go to classes or get an instructor or watch some videos, and that wouldn't work for me. But what it means is that I would have to do the action of regularly practicing salsa. Do you remember that's the action? The goal would be, wow, I'm ecstatic to have learned 4 dances. Let's talk about something like relationships. So maybe you've decided that you're battling with a bit of communication and you're not spending as much time. So rather than saying, I'm feeling more connected, maybe you'd think, okay, if I was more connected, what are the things that I might be doing? So perhaps for you and your partner, husband, wife, whoever it is in your life at the moment, maybe it's something like, wow, imagine if we'd gone to perhaps a beautiful relationship counseling weekend. So a goal could be, I am really proud to have spent the weekend exploring how to communicate better. So then you kind of know that maybe you've got to find a weekend, you've got to book it, maybe you've got to go away for it, you've got to find the right teacher, but right, you've done the weekend. Let's talk about business. I want to improve my cash flow. Well, sure, but what does that mean when you bring it into real terms? Let's say currently your cash flow is sitting on, I don't know, 30,000 Rand a month. And actually you want more. Well, what is more? Is more 35? Is it 40? Is it 50? So if you've got a 6-month goal, perhaps you're saying, I am financially secure with 50,000 Rand cash flow every month. Now it's like, wow, okay, my goal is 50,000 Rand. Or maybe it's clients for you. I have increased productivity by 10% and am looking after 10 fantastic new clients. Then it's like, okay, 10 fantastic new clients. That's not current clients. Okay, now I know where I'm headed. So everything is always around, where am I now? Your initial stock take. Where am I going? The new dotted line. And how do I word it? So ideally you need words of enthusiasm like excited, ecstatic, proud, having fun, chuffed, whatever words work for you, as opposed to just having a neutral kind of passive goal. So put some energy into it, put some vuma, find the word that you will feel once you have achieved the goal. It can make it so much more exciting and impactful. And when you read your goal, you'll know it's right, because it'll be like, oh my God, that's so exciting. And then almost in the same kind of breath, it's also terrifying of like, oh my goodness, how am I going to do that? That will be the next step in terms of the how. But you need to set and word the right goals. Now, if you have a look in the purple bar back on the newsletter, you'll see that I've got a challenge for you.